Alright, let's check this one. First one was a miss. Oh, okay, we are live. Let's do this. I'm sorry, I was streaming to somewhere else. Used a different streaming key. No problem, no problem. We are here, my friends. Casually late. Just casually. Because that's what we do here. We have fun, we make paintings together. Today we're gonna paint that. Today, oh, look at this, is funky. Today is the day of, oh yeah, I love it, love it. Look at this. Today is the day of yellow challenge, so we're gonna paint that, and the challenge is that we paint it together. So I'm gonna grab all the paint, all the yellow paint that I have in my paint like selection that I never use, but I just, you know, I'm kind of a paint tube hoarder. So I'm gonna grab all this yellow paint right there, and we're gonna have to decide which one would work the best, how to darken, how to make the shadows, how to make the highlights to paint this. Hold on, you're kind of in the way. Ah, better. We're gonna try to paint this. It's a plaster cast, it's a mini mask that I painted myself. Thank you very much, and we're gonna see how we paint this, what pigments we think would be the best. We're gonna try, we're gonna experiment, we're gonna discover a lot of very cool options for yellows. We'll learn a lot. Yellow is not an easy color. But it's a good color to learn and to practice with, because, you know, some objects are this yellow in general, like that you can see in real life. Some fruits, lemons, of course. Some objects can be this yellow in real life, so it's a very useful color to learn how to master properly. The shadows can be a little bit tricky, how to get the right shadows without making them feel too orange, without making them feel too green. It's very often is the challenge, but we're gonna do that, and we're gonna have fun doing it together. So it's gonna be pretty cool. How is everybody doing? Mary and Joy, Sid, Technodad, Cody, Gary, who else? Menda. I see everybody. Hello everybody, hello, and welcome to the stream. Make yourself at home. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how comfortable are you with the yellows. I don't know. I've always been kind of never really liked yellow so much in my color harmonies. I prefer to stay away from it. But it can be a super interesting color as sort of to bring a lot of pop in a composition. So super interesting overall, and I think would be just because you're not necessarily a fan of a color, it would just be a shame to, you know, neglect it. So today is yellow challenge, and we're gonna give it some love. Alright, yeah, opaque acrylic paint surely for this one. So yeah, how did you get the blue cast yellow without making it green? It's not the same, first of all. Not the same. It's another one. And so it's originally, the back is still white, as you can see. But first, oh my gosh, I have some delightful, tasteful art news. Let's talk contemporary art again, my friends, because I mean, our friends in the contemporary art kind of world, you know, doing a job that's clearly not exactly what we're doing here in the figurative arts. They have problems. Steven, roll the intro. All right. When I tell you that our friends making contemporary art have problems, I'm not kidding. There it is. Beer can artwork accidentally thrown in bin by staff member at Dutch Museum. That's normal. That's well, happens every day. A mechanic working at the Lamb Museum in Lisse assumed the artwork entitled "All the Good Time We Spent Together." Don't ask me. Don't ask me why. Was rubbish, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Oh, I can't zoom in. Sorry. Wasn't it rubbish? Well, you tell me. Same as the banana accident. Well, yeah, pretty much. But I'm pretty sure that was the intent all along. But who are we kidding? Like, it's time that they stop doing this stuff. It's been done and redone. Like, the first one was kind of a laugh, like, because it was a haha moment. And it, by the way, it was kind of a joke. But guess what? It was in 1917 with Marcel Duchamp, like the fountain, like the urinal, the very famous Duchamp urinal. It was done like more than 100 years ago, so it's kind of dated now, and there's not anything you can explore anymore from this stuff. You can see artworks by Alexandre Lavé, apparently a French dude, has a lot of artwork. Really cool. So all the good times we spent together is here, but also this. A dedication to my mother is this. So this is the artwork called A Dedication to My Mother. Okay, that's the artwork, right? That's the artwork.
That's the artwork. I'm so smart and I'm so, you know, I did a lot of study. I studied a lot for that. I did spend a lot going to the most prestigious art schools to create something really meaningful and like, wow, so great. Like, look at this. Like, I could put it in the corner of a white museum and like it's art.
Gosh. That's for his mother. Poor mother. Very proud, I'm sure. If she gets it. I don't know if she's part of the gang. Those rags have at least a genuine link to art. Yeah, but what kind of art was he making? It's clearly fake. It's also clearly faked. Like, it's like there's such a shame. Like, you see how it was faked. Those are not actual painting rags. Those are not. Those have been manufactured to look like these artists have been, you know, doing rags. Nap studies, just a little pillow under I don't know, stairs. The real truth of mankind. 2 labels. Naming artworks. Okay. Leaves. And so this masterpiece here was thrown in the rubbish where it belongs. But I'm pretty sure that it was the point all along to get a minute of fame and an article in a newspaper. The problem is the article is not praising the art. The article is making it, is turning it into the joke that it actually is. And the problem is that people seem to be taking this joke seriously. I mean, when I say people, I mean like this sort of cultural elite that persists in making this stuff. They take themselves seriously and they actually believe in this, I think, or I know they want us to believe in it. Like, most of the people have turned away from art altogether, including contemporary stuff and all, because of these guys that do this stuff. Well, yeah, my rags have a genuine link to art. Like, it's really it's the emperor that has no clothes all over again. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's the emperor that has no clothes all over again. Should paint that as a still life. And so the Dutch museum has recovered an artwork like that looks like. After a staff member accidentally threw it in the rubbish bin, thinking it was trash, and you can be sure, I will bet with you right now that there's going to be a sort of a part 2 of this very unique piece with a very poetic titles, all the good times we used to spend together. Number 2, like there's gonna be a phase 2 of this nonsense, and they're gonna keep pushing the thing. No hard feeling. It's just making such a joke of all of the art. I'm letting you read the story if you want. There's not much to read. It's just so the art banana accident is not an accident. It's another artist kind of making a mockery of a first work of art by also being a sort of a joke.
Studio cam for 10 seconds.
And no, I want my capture here, Gary. Thank you, but no.
Back to normal.
This. Same thing with Maurizio Catalan. An overzealous cleaner in Germany ruined a piece of modern art worth. I can't even name that number in pounds, but it's a lot.
Command, switching to palette for 10 seconds.
Stop.
Back to easel.
So, yeah. I should deactivate the commands. Yeah. So, yeah. That's it. So, it happens a lot, and it's always the same stuff, so I just thought it was funny to talk about this story. Okay, no problem. I just thought it was good to talk about this story. This is what this art is supposed to mean, and it's just making fools out of all of us. And I think that the general public knows that we're not in the same sort of category, and we're not even doing the same job, but it's still very, like, it still doesn't makes everybody look bad. That's the only problem. So yeah. All right, so let's not wait, and let's paint this thing together, my friends. And let's paint this yellow cast together, yellow challenge. So not a lot of people today. I don't know where everybody is, but we'll do with those who are there. What do you think is the best pigment for that? Well, we can check a list of pigments if you want. I'll write this little thing here, by the way. Look at this. So we have plenty of choices. When we talk about yellow pigments, there is a lot of variety that we can go for. Hold on, I'm gonna remove chat corner right there. I'm gonna go here. When we talk about yellow pigments, they differ mostly, not necessarily in their hue. The hue is pretty restricted. Well, you got a little bit of everything, but most of the variations get labeled orange. As soon as it goes slightly towards orange, it's mostly labeled orange, or some kind of earth tone. And as soon as it deviates towards the green, it's called something like olive green, something like that. So the range of the yellow is pretty narrow. So regarding the hue, there's not so much variety. What mostly changes is the opacity, the tinting strength, and also the overall how useful the pigment is in general mixing and its behavior. There is a lot of differences in the behavior of the pigment and how they react to the brush, how they react to the mixing, and how they hold themselves against other pigments. This can be a huge difference because typically what you want your yellow to be is you want a yellow that's relatively opaque. You want something opaque, and there's not that many good opaque high tinting strength yellow that can really hold on against other more potent pigments. Most of the times people will use something like a cadmium, and the cadmiums are really great, and they're very famous for that because they are more or less the best performing yellow pigments overall in terms of both opacity, covering power, and also the mixing behavior of the pigment. Right here we have a very original one, Yellow Lake. So this is a PY3. PY is Henza yellow, I think. If my memory is right, I think it's... I have tons of them here. Where is it? This one. Yellow Lake. So this one is transparent, which is very unique. I haven't seen this one that much in other. I haven't seen this one used that much. It almost has some sort of a. It was fast. So the Yellow Lake, not necessarily the most useful, but oops, sorry, faster. Okay. We've got Henza Yellow, PY1 or PY3. This is one of the names. The names of the yellow are all very confusing. So sorry if you don't keep track of all the names. There are tons of them. Most of the time they have a silly name like lemon something like, and that lemon is a good name. I much rather when they use the name of the pigment than the name of a yellow object. I don't think it's very helpful when they do that. So this is this one, the Henza Yellow. Hold on, so I'm gonna push them all on the side, go to the palette. Unfortunately, my palette camera is not super great at capturing the nuances of yellow, but this is the Henza Yellow. It's much more transparent. This one is semi-transparent, so it can't really replace a cadmium because of its kind of transparency. I don't know, like I don't know if you can see it. See how you can spread it, and it's almost thin, and you can see underneath. There's also a slight greenish undertone, a greenish, almost a glow of green under it, that maybe you can see better with this camera right there. See, oh yeah, you can see actually right there. Even if it's blurry, it's even better if it's blurry. You can see the sort of greenish undertone. If I remove my face, maybe you'll... See, so this one, compared to my model, not necessarily, well, maybe actually this one would be better. Not necessarily the best yellow, not super useful. I have this one, but I almost never use it. Too transparent, but it can be useful, I assume, in mixes. Sort of a more kind of almost fluorescent green undertone to create some crazy mixtures. This one is called lemon yellow. This is another one, actually. It's not the same, so this one is less transparent. I should put those that I've used here on the side. India and transparent earth yellow seem close, but still need a more vibrant yellow. Yeah, transparent earth yellow, yeah, they look more, they are more like dull, kind of earth tone related. So this one, well, the thing with yellow is it's always very easy to tone it down. So if you want, as long as it's a nice pigment to mix with, you can start with a pigment that's too light and too chromatic for what it is, and you can always reach a point where you make it less so, and you get the same results in the end. So this was Hansa yellow. I don't think we should use this one. So yellow lake, interesting, but also very transparent. So well, this could be interesting for glazes and all, even though I've used this one several times before, and it seems to have some very weird undertones, very unpredictable. So overall, not the ideal one. This is our main bet, I think, for everything, because first of all, look at the full range. The cadmiums, they come in different, they come in different hues, you have the light, so lighter and more on the green side, more kind of true yellow, which is why I call true yellow, or slightly darker and slightly more yellow orange. So here, for example, this one would be here and this one would be here. If you have to choose between the two, I would say for the price that you pay for a good cadmium, which I think you should pay the price for a good cadmium, it's going to be worth it. You want to pay for a light, as light as possible, because yellow can be used in many situations that are not just, okay, I need a yellow. It can also be a lightening agent. So just get the lightest yellow you can, as long as it's chromatic enough, and only cadmium yellow light, which is this one. Sometimes it's called lemon, depends. It's PY35. That's great that they have different names for the same components. PY35, and I think it's very useful because it goes very light and goes very strong, so it's more useful. What else do we have after that? Okay, let's diarylite yellow. Hold on, I don't think I have this one anymore. I have tons of those here that are no, this is not it. I have way too many yellows for my own good. $154. No, I don't have it here. So I don't have it anymore, this one. I think it was acrylics anyway. In field, it's acrylics, by the way. So this is often used as sort of cadmium substitute. but you can see how it's more transparent and less, you know, slightly less intense. But yeah, Benzimida is a good yellow. This one, but it's a more so this is this one 154. This one is more oh my god, it's more semi-transparent. It's also very often used as a cadmium yellow substitute for those who are interested in that. But I think it's a much better bet if you want something as a substitute for cadmium, because I think it may be less toxic, less expensive. It works decently, but it doesn't hold on as well in mixes. But it's a good yellow. It's just slightly too transparent for my taste, but it kind of keeps a good tint within the mixes. You like this one? Yeah, this one is good. I think this one is good. You find it under the name PY 154 or 175, depending, with different names. This is the one that sometimes is Azo Yellow, Benzimidazolone. The funny names. Chromium Yellow Titanate. So this would be more a substitute for a yellow ochre. So this is a good one. Where is it? Yeah. Substitute for yellow ochre, a good one. I can't open this one. Have you seen the new Michael Harding? No, I haven't. We should have a look. Well, okay, this is the tube. I'm not gonna open it for nothing. This is the tube because it's clearly not it's clearly not intense enough for what we have. So I'm not gonna open it for no reason, because I'm struggling with these damn caps. So let's move on. I'm pretty sure this is not gonna be the one. Alright, so that's all. How to use yellow pigments. So how to mix with the yellow pigments. How can we do that to paint our little thing here? Let's do a color check before we start. So we have some highlights here. So the highlights would be like that. The local would be like that, very close to the highlights, not surprising. Let me show you something a bit. Some midtones would be, see, it's already looking kind of orangey brown, pretty neutral, but still orangey. This looks very brown, and this looks brown, almost dark. That's all we have. So with this kind of group of 5, we can mix everything we need. Here, maybe just make this one instead. Let's make this more balanced, maybe. Alright, so this is the kind of color palette we need, and it's a very simple palette, but what really matters is not exactly what yellow we use, because we've seen that most of them, they behave very similarly together. They have, in terms of their appearance, they really look the same. A lot of these tubes, like, I couldn't, just looking at the tube, I couldn't really know which one's which. I really have to look at the name in the pigment code to get the right tube. And what makes a huge difference really is the behavior with other pigments. But right here we're using pure yellow, so we can use whatever. Just a little word on yellow ochre, which I didn't even mention here in my list. But yellow ochre is obviously one of the most useful pigments you can get, which is why I'm using a big tube like that most of the time. And this is a great pigment because if you are doing figuration, and like most of the time this is the only yellow that you need, you don't need to spend the extra bucks to get a very chromatic cadmium that you will actually not end up needing, because, well, you're just painting skin tones, and skin tones are pretty dull by default. And the good thing about the cadmium yellow is not only that it's much closer to the skin tones, it's that it's almost identical to the skin tones by default. So you just need a little touch of red, add this to the yellow ochre, and you've got something that's extremely close to a skin tone. Whereas, well, let's say you pay an exuberant amount of money for an expensive cadmium yellow, but, well, okay, but with this you're gonna have to waste a lot of quantities in your mixtures to get a result that's not going to be really far from the true potential of such a chromatic pigment. It's a bright, wonderful chromatic pigment. So overall, what I recommend in terms of yellow is to get both of those. The cadmium in small quantities, I'm not going to use this one very often, and the yellow ochre in big quantities. PY42 is actually a synthetic iron oxide, so it's a synthetic yellow ochre. The real one is PY43, I think. So this is what I would recommend. This is what you'll get the most use out of. All the other ones, they're good, but you know, not necessarily very useful. Actually, let's use this one instead of that. So there you go. The only problem though is with the yellow is not which one you use. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about that. Another really cool one that you can get is this one. So look at this. It's a transparent yellow ochre. So transparent oxide yellow. So it's PY42. It's the same as this one, but this one is transparent, and this is actually very useful. So it's same pigments, same stuff in the composition, but they mix it differently and they spread it differently. I don't know. So that's all I think you should get, because what's going to truly matter in terms of using the yellow is articulating the yellow with the rest of your colors. Actually, the yellow ochre here is useful, and we're going to use yellow ochre as a sort of to darken this and also pull it slightly more towards the orange side. Yellow ochre is more on this yellow ochre right there is more orange. It's also more dull but we can use it to create the shadows. For shadows, we're gonna go for something kind of as usual. We're gonna use a burnt umber, and we're also going to use for the black of the background, we're going to use Mars black, and we're also going to incorporate some Mars black in the mixtures for the shadows here and there. So the palette consists so far of yellow ochre PY35, cadmium yellow PY35, yellow ochre, PY42, burnt umber, and Mars black. Mars black is a more warm black compared to ivory black. It's less, it darkens less, but it's also more warm. So it should be useful here. Forever pigment iron oxides, yeah, exactly. The iron oxides are the best pigments. Very useful overall and always very very helpful. Oh yeah, there is a transparent version. It's really cool, very useful. I don't use it that much because most of the time the yellow is something that I also use. Well, my yellow ochre, and this is also why I have such a big quantity of it, is a pigment that I use as sort of a mixing base. So I don't hesitate to, first of all, because it's not expensive, and also very often I use it. The mixing base is kind of what makes most of the body of your, you know, whatever you're mixing. And if you're mixing skin tones, using sort of yellow ochre and white as a mixing base gives you a big paste that feels very very close to actual skin tones color. So you just need a relatively, you know, big quantity of white, big quantity of yellow ochre, which is not hard to get. It's not expensive at all. So you get, you know, a sort of a big mixing base, and from there you can just grab a tiny amount of a more chromatic kind of reddish pink pigment, and bam, there you go, you have something, you know, to start with. So your mixing base here, see, I'm using such a small amount of this, and I don't need more actually. And the mixing base is what I'm using here. No. So this explains why I generally use my yellow ochre more than the cadmium, even though the cadmium, you might say, well, it's a more versatile pigment because it can go higher in chroma, of course. But I will never be dumb enough to use my cadmium as a mixing base, but I can do that with the yellow ochre. So bring the body, make this kind of paste into which you'll incorporate the slightest, you know, touches here and there, touches of blue, touches of red, touches of pink, touches of green, touches of whatever. You incorporate that into your mixing base. You start with this, you have, like, you know, a big chunk of paste that you can start with, and from there you mix to your liking and to your convenience. But this is not what we need here, by the way. This is not what we need for that. We need to mix this. Okay, so let's start. Good evening, Chemo. Can we mix a warm black? Well, we're gonna try anyway, because that's exactly what we need right there. Right there is something. It's not black exactly, but we will need to mix sort of the black version, the darkest version possible of a yellow. So as I often say, not easy to perceive and understand the true meaning of a yellow, a dark yellow. What is a dark yellow? See, this is something like that. It's almost black, but it's still somehow in the yellow, but it's more on the orange side here. Because you have two categories. You have warm yellows and greenish yellows. And here we're more in the range of the warms. The greenish version would be something like that. Hold on. You don't see nothing, but I'm gonna See the yellow sort of, you can divide yellow in two families, the warm yellows and the greenish, the cool yellows. So this one would be something like that. I don't even know if you can see the difference on whatever screen you're looking at this, but the warm yellow is going to, you know, go more towards the orange side as you darken. See? So this would be the warm family, and the more greenish family will deviate towards something more akin to this, kind of what we call sometimes olive, and both work. So it's really, there's a divide between the yellow, and it's just the slightest shift with which chroma you exactly use makes it. This is the entire difficulty of yellow is here, because the slightest shift can make your yellow look green or look orange without, you know, without you even really realizing what you did. Starting with, because it's very easy to start with, you know, the yellow they give you from the tube, right? But just getting it right is not the. From there, when you mix, is more difficult. So we can go darker here, and we can, I think what we're gonna need for this one, what can we do? We're gonna need something red-ish. So I'm gonna bring a touch of what? A touch of what? Maybe a touch of transparent iron oxide to increase the yellow, the orange, sorry. I'm gonna check how it works. So I'm gonna add this directly to my cadmium. The cadmium still dominates. Let's see. Works, but I need more cadmium. If it doesn't work, I'll use a more chromatic red. Okay, I think it will work based on my notes from back there. I'm gonna need a touch of white here, touch of cadmium. So this would be for the highlights. Okay, could work, could work. Sorry you couldn't see. Man, this camera right there is so bad at picking up the yellow. I can see how dull it is on my screen. Look at the difference. Look at the difference with the real camera. See how much brighter it is in real life. The white is titanium, yeah, titanium. Okay, so now we have the local, and so for the local, I'm gonna keep it relatively. I'm gonna try to mix it slightly above its ideal reaching point, just so that I still have some margin when inevitably the yellow is going to be dulled down by all the brushing and mixing. So I'm gonna aim lighter and more chromatic, and I'll always have the, you know, the option to retouch here with a touch of yellow ochre. Okay, we've got something approaching here. We've got something that should work. Okay, so now some shadows. We'll bring a touch of orange, because again, we're here we're going for the warm orange family of yellow. So you really have no choice. Once you make your yellow darker, you have to make a choice between making it more olive green or more orange. There's no real good option here. There is no perfectly yellow, dark yellow. Or yes, there is, but it's a balance between the green tendency and the orange tendency. You have to, you know, pull on the screens from both sides, and you articulate like that. It's possible in the end. Just the right balance between those two. But you still have to make a decision at some point. I think this could work. We'll see. And then something very dark. No, actually less. More dull. Okay, this could work. Dullify this shadow. Obviously the light here is not the same as on the model, but and then finish with something like that. Okay, we can try this. Well, everything darkens yellow. When you start with a yellow, everything darkens it. So yellow is such a naturally pure light color. The smallest deviation from ideal yellow, which is peak yellow, just immediately kind of how to say, makes it dull. So yellow is disfigured by the slightest touch of anything. Like typically what you get in the paint tube is the purest form that they could achieve. Mixing it with anything is going to drop it. Like, well, it's true of every pigment, but with yellow it's very noticeable because they're such at a high and unusual point in their chromatic profile. I'm just going to show you the profile again. Something that I've shown thousands of times before, but this is here. Okay, here it is. Open a new document. All right. Yeah. So yeah, the reason why yellow is a very unique color because it peaks here in a very light range of this curve. So as soon as you touch it, it immediately drops severely, either here or here. Immediately drops, and there's an ideal yellow that sits all the way on top right there. But just mix it with anything and you lose it completely, almost completely. There are only a couple pigments that are really good at, you know, keeping their presence and their vibrancy, and those are mostly the cadmiums and the benzimidea or azo yellow. Other than that, just be sure that this ideal yellow is gonna dissipate as soon as you mix it. Just be aware of it, that's all. But it's still doable. Still doable. Tricky to mix orange, but I have a cadmium orange. Yeah, I was very, at first I was kind of against having a cadmium orange, but then I realized it's actually useful. You can make the equivalent of a cadmium orange if you want, but that's never really the same. Alright, let's start with background and let's actually paint, shall we? But yeah, cadmium orange is actually pretty helpful and pretty versatile. I didn't suspect it to be so because, you know, it's right between. I have already cadmium red and cadmium yellow, so at first I thought cadmium orange is going to be really that useful. Well, it turns out it is. Maybe it's just useful because it's a time saver. I don't know. Very often this is also how pigments are, because, well, with enough, you know, pigment knowledge and good mixing strategies, you can just achieve anything with any starting pigments of your choice. But do you really have the time and the energy to make this? Do you really have the energy to go through this? Or do you want, you know, a very useful pigment that you can just grab and paint? You're not a mod on your phone. Well, how come you have a different account though? You know, you can change. Oh yeah, the cadmium is, you can get it in small tubes. There's just so much that a yellow ochre can achieve, and as I said, the yellow ochre is really something that I use as sort of the body, the flesh of most of my paintings is white and cadmium ochre, yellow ochre. But you know, there's just so much that yellow ochre can achieve, even though it's a wonderful, wonderful pigment. To paint this, for example, well, you can't. Oh yeah, in the red category. In the red category, you can do without the cadmium for sure. In the yellow, it's more difficult, I would say. Oh my god, poor Felicia. Well, okay. So good luck to you with your car problems, truck problems. Hope it gets fixed. Hey, no problem, Adam. Glad you're having a nice relaxing time after a workout here. Train the body and the mind. Like it, like it. Oh yeah. Fixing a car is really like you have to sacrifice an arm and a leg. That's the problem. I would love to know how to fix cars, by the way, and know how to do all this stuff. It's just to get there you need so much, you know, investment in the right equipment and all. And also investment of time to learn this stuff. I would love to, you know, car has a problem, I can fix it, whatever, I can order the pieces and do it myself. Rid of this. To not be dependent on repair shops. Grab some new brushes here because what I have up there is not really great. This one is done for. This one is done for. Saying goodbye to these brushes. I think they're going to be used as blending brushes next. I'm going to put them on the side because too plain. Time for turnover. Okay. Everything that's subscriber only, member only on YouTube is also on Patreon. Except a couple ones that are exclusive, but it's really like mostly old streams. So starting with the local here, I have a highlight right there. Should I do tiling or should I do tiling or go for the full picture? Well, let's try tiling, I think, for today. Could be fun. It's been years since I've painted, getting back into it, gathering my paint supplies a few tubes at a time. Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck. You can join our Discord to get support and critique and all that good stuff. And interact with people who are basically in the same situation as you, like a lot of people. Pick up art after, you know, some time. It's not very common that, you know, life gets in the way. You wanted to make art, but you didn't have time, so things happened and you forgot about art for a long time because, you know, first the essentials, family, job and all. But art is always somewhere in the corner of your head when you have this kind of creative mind. And it always comes back. It always returns, no matter how late. It's never too late, first of all. But always makes a little comeback in the end at some point. Doesn't matter how late, really. Hi, Leslie. Oh yeah. Plus it's also a great motivation booster, like if your studio is up and ready to start. It's a great help for motivation. Okay, so this really is dark. Oh yeah, big rug is nice. Yeah, but it starts with appreciation, so that's the very first step. Yeah, a rug is really helpful. I like the feeling, this kind of comfort thing. I used to have one, but it was just very impractical for me with because it was always getting entangled with my cameras, my tripods and all. But I used to have this rug and I used to really like it. I just had to remove it, sadly. But it was pretty more pleasant, you know. Like right here, I don't know, maybe you can hear my stomping all the time with the rug. You wouldn't hear it. No problem, Eslin. Welcome here. No such thing as late on this channel. Always arriving right on time. Dampen my big feet. Yeah. Maybe it's my problem as well. Dampen my big feet. Just a lot of the considerations that I have for my YouTube videos and streams are different from, you know, your normal studio. My studio would look very different if it wasn't for the videos. Right now it's kind of optimized for videos, which is cool. Parakeets. Can they appreciate this sort of stuff? I mean, they're super smart animals. Oh yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it. Okay, so now let's dive in the shadows. And nobody makes the pun with the song. In the shadows. So I'm gonna try to follow this Terminator here, but try to be subtle about it. Oh, nice. Oh, wow, they're so smart. I don't think I'm ready for the takeover of the parakeets. I don't know. They're very smart. Either AI or parakeets will maybe dominate us one day. Maybe when they get opposable thumbs, I'll start to really be afraid. Because let's just face it, that's kind of a superpower. That and a big brain. Like, human beings are kind of OP. Gotta say. Oh yeah, I'm not ready for the print to take over. AI controlled printers running societies, using us to, you know, feed them with magenta all the time. Yeah, that's cool, dazzling. a lot of species, I think, have run themselves extinct out of, you know, just eating all the food. We just do it on a grand scale, and we're just, you know, even polluting the most absolute depth of the ocean with our some of our stuff before we go. But that's pretty much, we speed run, you know, we speed run evolution. And probably the next dominant species will grow out of the remnants of our stuff. I don't know. Hard to predict. Like in a couple million years, will probably be like the dinosaurs, but you'll have like plastics and bronze and iron all over the place. It's gonna be free loot for anybody coming up after we are gone. Okay, see you, Joy. Yeah, well, I think we're a pretty meaningless bunch of, you know, cells and atoms, but in a way we're pretty powerful for, you know, putting and reorganizing so much of the atoms of the world around us for good. Like, I don't know exactly how and when the human species is going to be extinct, or if, you know, but I assume like we can't survive like billions of years. Like, something is going to either evolve or change somehow, or big meteorite again. Maybe we'll survive this, I don't know. It's really science fiction at this point. But that's one thing's for sure, is like this Earth is going to be forever will have the mark of our presence here. It's probably what most artists try to do, is like leave a trace of their presence on Earth before they're gone. I know that for me it's a big motivation. I like the fact that I'm gonna leave something behind me. You really want the most, you know, the most durable. Maybe you should go for something like bronze sculptures, because I don't know how much and how long the painting can last, but well, I like the paintings so far. I'll probably try sculpture at some point. Apparently, graphite is one of the most stable mediums overall. Like, it doesn't decay or anything. There's no, like, most of the stuff that they archive with, when they have to write archives, they use graphite to keep the records, because the ink have a tendency to, you know, decay with time and fade. But the graphite will just be super stable over time. The only problem with the graphite is the paper. So if you really want something that's going to last almost forever, you can just go with graphite. Maybe yeah, it sounds like a good idea. Food art? No, food art, no. No, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested more in the culinary arts is something that I appreciate. But I like the food to look like food and the art to look like art. And like, do good in your own domain. I can appreciate, a little wow effect. Seeing something really well done and a nice, trickery of the brain. Aha, you thought it was a chair. Well, guess what? It's actually chocolate. Oh, okay, good. All right. Now give me some real food. Yeah, no, I don't want it. I don't want that. I like to push, the boundaries of your domain in the most excellent way in which your medium excels. So I don't think that you can excel at painting by transgressing the realms in which painting expresses itself truly. So by making, 3D painting or animated paintings, I don't think this can really excel what the painting is capable of. I think you should really dive into what makes painting beautiful and try to master that before you start to think about branching out and making something more elaborate or more original in other fields to incorporate with the painting. And I think it's the same for the every art form. I like the sculpture to be just about 3D stuff, not about flat sculptures. I don't like it when the sculptures they have like flat shapes that rotate. I don't like this kind of sculpture. I like the sculpture to be fully the form. Maybe I'm too much of a traditional guy, but that's my mindset. I think we still have a lot of fun and cool ideas to explore in our own fields. We don't need to branch out too much. Just practice what we do best. Okay. All right. So far, how are we on the cover? Oh yeah, I would love to make sculptures at some point. Would love to make it. Not necessarily Warhammer, but actually, you wouldn't. A lot of people discovered my videos coming from figurine painting. And then they sort of decide to stay for some reason because they appreciate the art. And sometimes they give it a go, like traditional. I mean, not just painting figurines. do we have here? Okay. Complicated shadow shapes. Okay, some reflected lights around there. Okay, now some lights right there. And bam, bam. I'm gonna grab my little brush here and just try to reshape this. So reshape the edges so that they naturally blend into the shadows surrounding it. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm happy that my work can do that. You know, a lot of the time the people just need just a little extra push, just realizing that it's possible, and it doesn't take much. After that, it's all yours. Like, it's all your, like it's all you from there. But that's cool. I like this idea of how you can just push people and just motivate people by showing what's possible. Oops. Showing what's possible is sometimes just enough. So just doing something is enough to motivate others to do the same or do their own thing, but based on your example. Now they're going from, hey, maybe one day, to my actual goals. That's cool. That's cool. Super happy that I'm a part of this then, in a very, very small, insignificant part, but hey. So good motivation to keep going, like, you know. So can you see the difference here, and can you see the point of the technique that I'm using? That is, maybe if you are if you're used to this channel, you might notice that I'm not necessarily working the same way as I normally am. I'm working more around an area. I started here and I'm just slowly going down, trying to follow a pattern. Some people do it even more extremely, like just almost work line by line. But I don't know if you can see the difference in my approach. This is definitely a technique, a painting technique. It's not necessarily a technique. I would call it an approach, or maybe a painting philosophy or a process that you want to use if you like tightness and control, and for tight portraits can be super helpful. And I think I would benefit from using this technique more. I think sometimes this is what you need. Can somebody identify the little technical change that I have from if you regard the you go back and look at the blue painting challenge, we didn't use the same approach. Can you spot the difference and tell me what you think? The shadow seems so much more natural. Yeah, it's because like a tiny chunk of the painting feels, well, you think natural because it feels finished from the get-go. This is a technique called tiling. In this technique, you need two things. You need an outline to start with. You can't do it without an outline, or not to this degree at least. You can try, but you start with a little outline like what I have here, and you basically fill in with complete rendering from the first go, or not necessarily complete rendering, but at least go up to the modeling phase just immediately. For example, here I'm painting this area, so I'm gonna paint it with the shadows, with everything, but it's because I know that this area is shadows here, and I know that this area is just a little dark shadow right there. So, but I'm gonna wait for it. I'm gonna do it when I reach this point. For the moment, I just want to do this. So it feels much more muddled. So even a small part feels muddled. So it's a different approach. Because the other approach, which is more an approach that you do when you don't use an outline before, is you cover the full canvas first with broad, big masses of values, and then you refine and you reshape progressively. Whereas this one is like, okay, I'm gonna take a lot of time to finish a single tiny spot, but it's going to be almost done. Like, I can always come back, but it's almost going to be as good as done, at least. In the theories, should make it as good as done. So it has a nice, visual impact that feels very pleasant. Like you can actually see the painting evolving under your eyes. It's almost like it's taking form immediately. Kind of like it, I have to say. It's very pleasant. I think I should use it more. Typically, it's not my technique of choice in most of my art. But I'm getting to love it more and more here, as I'm right now. Actually, I'm using very rarely, and now as I'm experimenting with it, I truly appreciate. But it really requires a prep drawing to start with. It's called tiling because you know you focus on small tiles of your canvas, centimeter by centimeter almost.
Screenshot taken in the Discord.
Slowly building up the form as you go. Obviously you retouch in the end and all, it's not like...
Command, zooming in for 10 seconds.
Okay, sorry, the zoom is not right where it should be.
Zooming out. So yeah, you need for that technique to work, you need relatively opaque paint, relatively low medium, so relatively not stiff but firm consistency. The paint shouldn't slide too much. It should be almost malleable, almost plasticky. You know, well, you really want to emphasize, you need the plasticity of the paint because you're modeling as you go. You're not doing, you know, the modeling in the end. You're doing it, you know, from the very beginning. So you need the paint to keep this kind of plastic feeling, this plasticity. So not too much medium, don't want to make it too fluid. And the opacity is because you're covering the canvas straight up, starting with white. You don't have to start with white, but you need the paint to blend into each other with just a single, sort of a single shot blending. And the problem, transparent paint can't really doesn't behave in a way that facilitates this sort of approach. So opaque pigments are preferable. Yeah, pretty much. Well, you can always glaze if you want later on, but it's just the construction of the subject is done with the modeling in mind as you go. So as you progress, is like every squared inch of your subject that you paint is done with the full modeling, not full detail, but at least full modeling, which means it already has this sort of sense of the volume in it, directly integrated in the process. So you don't do just, you know, blocking, then you know, values, then working on the planes and all. It's like you do all this. The blocking is basically your preparatory drawing. You make your outline, you trace, and from there you just fill in. It's almost like the closest thing that we have from coloring. A coloring book and this are basically the same thing almost, but do it much more carefully, of course. And every time, it's also called tiling because every area that you touch should be connected to an area that was painted before. So for example, I wouldn't go there. See, I wouldn't go there immediately. I'll stick here and always try to connect. We need soft brushes, small brushes, I need a high attention to details.
Screenshot taken in the Discord.
Alright, thanks for taking the screenshot. Being a record of the progression. Nice. Very interesting with this technique is, I've got to say, it's super satisfying to see it done almost. Oh no. Get out of here. The small gnat in my black right there. Get out of here. You're not Jeff. Get out of here. Of course you die in there. Come on. Gross. And gnat. Trying to... the problem is not even Jeff. Jeff is smart enough to not just... It's like a tiny, tiny little thing. Using a gesso in acrylic will allow you to what? Sorry, I didn't get the end of your message here. You know, matte black. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you want matte black, by the way. This matte black pretty much sucks. Will allow you to rework the acrylic as well. I don't know. I don't know, Conan. No idea what you're trying to say. Why use acrylics though? I think you should put more into tempera or something like that. For the kind of art that apparently you want to make. Yeah, I think if you want to make stuff like we do, you want oil. If you want to make icons, I think you want you want to waste your time learning acrylics and waste your money. Just go for the whatever technique is used in icons. Well, if my memory is not playing tricks on me, because I think you said earlier that's what you want to do long term, but maybe I'm wrong. So my bad if I'm wrong, and I'm maybe just talking nonsense here. All right, let's see. I've used the sable. Oh, I'm picking up my first sable in years and just nah, don't worry about the fumes. Just worry about keeping your studio safe and just well ventilated. I have resources for that you can check out. In my links on my website are resources for safety precautions, but it's more common sense really than just like, I would say that oil is safe under the right conditions. Doesn't mean that it's absolutely safe like anything in the world, but to anybody who just would say to me, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't, you know, do oil paint because it's just too toxic for my small studio, and but okay, hold on, I'm gonna grab a beer with my friends and I'm gonna then get a smoke and I'll talk about it later. I'm like, okay, really? Are you really worried about intoxicating yourself when you're actually drinking the toxins and you're actually smoking them or doing whatever? I mean, seriously, the amount that you use, if you use oil paint in a normal setting, what we do here, because of course if you do the kind of nonsense modern art with, you know, huge canvases and stuff all over the place and the dirty studio because it looks cool, yeah, sure, you're taking risks. But like the amount that I use, the amount of solvents that I use, right here, I realized that my jar was open, but most of the time it's shut. This is where I keep my solvent. Most of the time it's shut. Right here, I had it open for a couple, but my studio is well ventilated and it's pretty big. But here is just one drop. It's enough and it will last for the entire session for me here. This is one drop, and it's not just pure solvent. This is just 70% solvent, so one drop, that's all there is. Can you really, just from breathing the fumes, to really think this is a problem? Having a clean palette, clean workspace, nothing to fear really if you work in good conditions. You should be way more afraid of this glass of wine that you're enjoying, if it's really what you're concerned with. Yeah, it looks really cool when it's taking shape like that. It's actually taking form. Do you put any cool colors in your study today? The coolest would be the Mars black right there, so kind of a warm-ish black. I think it's the warmest of them all. So typically with the tiling, there is no real direction. What you want is you want to always connect, and you want to try to find a nice movement that sort of follows the curves of the objects. Right here, for example, instead of working from the top and down, I think I'm gonna jump this way and follow the volume of the form. Oh yeah, well, That's why you have to be careful, Cody. And a lot of people think that I'm way too tight with, you know, my cleaning habits and how tidy my studio looks, and like for some people it's almost like nonsensical to imagine an artist studio that's well organized and, you know, clean. Well, it's not just for the fun and for the... You don't get aesthetic points for how messy your studio looks. Stuff matters. Like in a messy studio, you run more risk of actually ingesting paints, ingesting solvents through the skin, for example. And this is where we actually start to talk more about hazards, because this is the kind of stuff that you want to avoid. If you can stay away from that, it's very safe. I wonder which oil color is the tastiest. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go with my cobalt. You know, my baby. That's obviously, this one is the tastiest. Well, it's this one that I would like to taste. No. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hold on. Hold on. Don't taste your paint. This is a public announcement. Don't taste your paint. Alright, we're just kidding. Just kidding. Alright? Don't taste your paint. Yeah, I know. I need to be careful because, you know, somebody can take an excerpt at some point, like 10 years from now, and say, oh, look at this guy. No. So, don't taste your paint. But I would have to say that if you had to taste it, to me the cobalt teal would be the tastiest. Just my kind of my feeling. But maybe there's some pigments that are made out of something that can be eaten, maybe the olive green. If it was made out of real olives, it would be pretty tasty as well. Isn't there like a magenta made out of beetroots? Maybe. Maybe it could be tasty as well. Could be tasty as well. Linseed is the standard medium, but it's refined and purified so much that it's unfit for human consumption. Well, I think you could ingest linseed oil without a problem because you have eatable linseed oil. Linseed is eatable. I have linseed. By the way, I grew linseed in my own garden. I'll see what I do with the with the stuff. I wanted to experiment growing it. I don't know. I'll see what I can do with the seeds. I'll try to make oil and see if I can actually pull off some linseed oil. Hold on. Actually, they're right outside. They're drying, so I'll I'll go back and pick up my linseed, my flax. See, my friends, this is the oil painter's plant. This is the nature's gift to us oil painters. This stuff is used to make the canvases with the big fibers. Look at how fibrous it is. Tons of snail in it. And all the little seeds here, you can use them. You collect the seeds inside, and you can make linseed oil. That's the most glorious plant for oil painters. I grew them in my garden because they're super easy to grow, and they make beautiful flowers that attract tons of wildlife. And they're just an amazing plant. I'll see what I do. I want to, I want to have a viewing session with you, or just redirect you to this video of how they do process the linseed. Hold on, just try to. There was a video with millions of views. From flax to linen, I think. Linen from flax. Several videos actually do that. But I recommend this one. Sorry, it's just the ad. The ad and okay. Flax to linen, from sewing to sewing. And look at this. It's what I had, like flax, little flowers, attract ton of wildlife. And this video is great. I mean, I really recommend it. It's like 20 minutes of just no commentary at all, just the guy doing the stuff. And this is what I have. Look at this. Like he shows how he's drawing it, how he's processing it. It's insane, and in the end it looks so beautiful. Look at how it collects all the. I don't have all this stuff, so I don't know what I'll do with all my flax, but I just liked to grow them in my garden. It was nice to have some, like, such a painter-friendly plant. It was an honor to have it in my garden for all the good that it did for me. This plant is the essence of what I do every day. I deal with this plant every day. So look at the seeds. That's awesome. I'm gonna collect the seeds, definitely. I don't have this machine. And in the end, it shows how he, has this, how he makes the linseed, the fabric. Look at this. It's amazing, and you can paint on that. You can paint on that. It's perfectly good canvas, kind of heavy grain, but perfectly good canvas from the stuff that he did himself. That's really impressive. I love watching these, and actually 3.5 million views, so a lot of people actually enjoy this. And look at this, you just have to size it, gesso, and you can use that as a canvas.
That's wonderful. I would love to have enough time and all the, you know, the materials and the time, like, you know, like it takes a while. Look at this. You have like tons of steps to get it perfect. It almost feels like blonde hair. It's insane. Look how pretty it is. Feels like genuine hair. Look how pretty. Makes me want to grow flax next year. Yeah, you should. I mean, we owe it to this plant to, you know, to have it in our gardens, is if we have the opportunity. So there you go, flax, my friends. From flax to linseed oil. Maybe should be my next video. It's gonna be a nightmare to remove all these little bits. All right, back to the painting. I'm gonna get rid of this and I'll be back. Yeah, well, if I make cloth, I'm gonna make a canvas with it. No way I'm wasting it for just tablecloth, but if I go through all this, which I'm never gonna do, by the way, I'll definitely make a painting canvas with it. But you know, you have to not mess it up when you're making this. When you're making your canvas from scratch, you really have to not waste it in the end with a bad quality painting. It's a lot of pressure.
Screenshot taken in the Discord.
Thanks for the screenshot. Okay. All right. So here it is, small. Hey, I like to draw too. That's awesome. Made for each other. Actually, we have drawing streams every Friday, so you should also join. No, it's too dark.
Well, this is a painting, but yeah, thank you. Drawing and painting are strongly related. So yeah. Which brush is that? That's a round brush, synthetic. Which exactly? I don't know. Synthetic number 12. I don't know if it's really a... There's no standard in brush sizes and shapes, so can't be really that clear. Oh man, what did I do? It's gonna be a problem. I was not looking, and it happens, but this kind of stuff happens very rarely. I don't know what I was thinking, where my brain was. When you make the fix, you want to come back with a generous amount of black, otherwise the yellow is going to pollute it. Nobody saw anything. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Alright, I wanted to just do that. But I think that this brush was polluted as well. See how it... I don't know if you can feel how it feels kind of greenish. Because the brush had some... The brush had some black on it. And now it's polluting the brush, so it's polluting the yellow. So that's another problem. Yeah, probably the spirit of the gnat attracted the brush. So here, if I want to use this brush again, I think I'd rather clean it up a bit. So this is typically where you want to do it. Talking about safety, don't do the Bob Ross kind of thing with a huge bucket of this stuff under your nose. This is not safe, by the way. What you see in the Bob Ross episodes, where it has the big bucket right under the easel, so right under his nose basically. Open bucket. First of all, the bucket is way too much. So that's all. When your brush is polluted, this is the only way, really, the only real moment where a full cleanup of the brush is needed. Most of the time it's not. Most of the time simply dragging the brush on a piece of paper towel is enough to clean it. You don't need, you know, this big like dip in the solvent. Okay, so this is pretty dark, so I think I'll go with this and this. Maybe slightly too dark. This walnut oil to clean my brushes a little bit just from the grocery store in a tank with a coil the pigment settles to the bottom. Perfect, yeah. Do the same with sapphire oil, but yeah, works the same, I think. Not, but I still keep the solvent to. I still keep a solvent, but I also have a bath of oil as well. Let's face it, the solvent is more effective. Your trick is actually great, and I think it could help a lot of the people who say, yeah, I don't know how if I should try oil because I have a very small studio and feels unsafe and all. Just knowing this little trick of yours, I think would really help the people decide that, well, actually it's all right if you have the right techniques and if you take good care of your work environment. Nothing is, you know, unsafe by default. It's just choices that you make that make what you do unsafe. Also, walnut oil is tasty. Yeah, I like it. I like it in my salads. Beetroots, walnut oil, go really well together. Just a tip. Actually, my great uncle makes his own walnut oil. It's absolutely delicious. But it's also crazy the amount of walnuts that you need to make such a I would say disappointing amount, but it's not. It's just the right amount. But compared to the amount of walnuts that you had, the oil that you get in the end is kind of, whoa, okay. Yeah. But that's the truth for oil. all the oils. It's like in the end you don't get a lot. It's very condensed energy, I guess.
Command, zooming in for 10 seconds. Zooming out. Screenshot taken in the Discord.
How many screenshots are you taking? Well, actually, it's good. Like you have like kind of a documentation of the entire process. Interesting. Did the whole thing happen? So there you go, you start with one point and you finish with another. And every time it all connects. This is called tiling, and once you're done tiling the whole surface, of course you do the final, you know, details and all. But you get the approach. It's an approach that takes a lot of control, a lot of tightness. There is a soft touch. Relatively consistent paint. Okay, so here. Right, I don't know if I'll have the energy to do all this, all the final details. But the thing with the good thing with this technique is you get something that looks very convincing, like immediately. You don't necessarily need to add an extra layer to have something convincing. There is. There you go. So orange, yellow, pretty easy once you have the right pigments and once you've decided how to navigate between, you know, the orange or green side. Once you know exactly how to navigate
Screenshot taken
this,
in the Discord.
it's pretty useful. I mean, pretty easy. I want to say pretty easy once you get this, especially for an object like that. Typically with kind of a more orange side, you can't really go wrong. Always reads. As something convincing with the sort of the orange. The green is more complicated to handle. The orange, yellow is generally very good. All right. Okay, yeah. Last one. You can take this as a screenshot if you want, but that's all I'm gonna be doing today, my friends. It was a great pleasure to paint alongside your in your company. I'll see you around in the Discord. I'll see you around on YouTube. I'll see you around. All right.
My friends, thank you for watching, and as always, joy and inspiration to you. Bye.